Today, I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about sharing your projects in Legendkeeper and giving you a bunch of tips to make sure your life as a GM is easier when sharing those sensitive project details with your players. Because greetings gamers, I'm Anto and I want to help you play more and prep less, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this. So Legendkeeper has long had the ability to share your projects with others and invite people to edit those projects for collaborative world building, but it wasn't until someone asked me about it recently that I realized I've never actually made a dedicated video about this topic, so I want to change that today. We're going to start by taking a look at the simplest and most straightforward way to share your Legendkeeper project with others, and that is by using the share tool. So in the current build of Legendkeeper, you'll find this big share button at the top right of every page, and enabling this option turns your entire project into a publicly viewable wiki. Anyone with this link can view all of the visible pages in your project, but they can't see hidden pages or any secret blocks. This is super useful if you have a group that doesn't necessarily want to get involved in the world building, but would still like to be able to view maps and read some wiki information or find out some key world information, get that kind of higher level look at your world. Now, I would always suggest starting with this option when you're thinking about sharing your world with others, as it's the least complicated and it's fairly easy to make sure you never accidentally spoil any plot points. And this is the spoiler warning for any of my players watching this. Now is the time to click away. So if you're sharing a project like this with your players, the big worry that you're going to have is, are they going to see something they shouldn't and spoil some element of the plot for themselves? So what we want to make sure we're doing is working in a way that we're mindful of spoilers. So the way I do this is pretty much every page in my Legendkeeper project is set up in the same basic way. There is a public facing element to it and a secret element. If we jump into the live version of my current world of the Jewel Cities and take a look at the area my players are currently in, which is Lightsgrave, this ancient megalith dungeon, which is being used as a prison by the Desk Empire. When we click into that, you're going to see a bunch of information. Right at the top is this blue info box which says from the setting guide, and I pretty much have one of these on every page that I make, and anything I write in here is common enough knowledge that if one of my players stumbles on a page and reads the information in here, I assume that their characters will have heard this piece of information within the world. It's common enough knowledge that their characters would know this. Then you can see most of the information for this location is actually in these secret blocks, these purple areas. The NPCs, the information on the danger level, the notes on all of the factions in the area. Everything that I want to know as the GM about this location is held in this secret block, and these can't be seen by anyone that's viewing the public version of this page. And I do this for every page. I have a bunch of templates set up which you can grab in my Legendkeeper GM Bible, which I'll link up here, and they've got blocks already set up, so whenever I make a new page it's already laid out ready to go. So if we jump into my public sharing version of the wiki here and click on the version of Lightsgrave that's in there, you can see it's a little less expanded because this was made earlier in the campaign, so I hadn't quite delved into the location yet, but you can see it's got the same setup. The public information is in that blue box, and then we've got a bunch of secret pages. And if I open up a separate tab here that has only the information that someone viewing this publicly that's used that sharing link would see, you can see they can't even see the page for this. And that's because if I go back into it and zoom in a little bit here, you can see that the pin is actually hidden. So that's another tool that we have to make it so that people can't see what we don't want them to see. So anytime you right click on a pin, you've got the option to hide the page and hide the pin. If I go ahead and unhide that page and pin in this publicly viewable version, and then refresh the page in the live view here, nothing will happen. I might need to just refresh both versions of the page. It can take a few minutes to propagate. If you have a look when you click on share, it does say changes can take a few minutes to propagate. for your public facing projects, especially if your browser is using caches and things like that. It can sometimes take a little bit of time, but there we are. It has popped up in the version I've got open in Edge that's looking at the public facing version. So if I go ahead and click into that, you can see the only options we have in here are those publicly facing options. So that box from the setting guide that has that publicly known information, and then the box that would have who the ruler is. So if we go and click into the proper version, I would fill in who the ruler is, and all of these secrets are hidden. And being able to hide pages and pins is a really useful way to kind of set degrees of being able to see different things for people who are viewing this. So a great example for this, if we go into my DM screen for this project for the publicly viewable version, and I'll leave a link to this publicly viewable version because it doesn't have everything that is currently in the live version of my world, but it's a really useful tool to look through to see how I structure my campaign planning in Legendkeeper. So in this, I have a DM screen, and I made a mistake in this, but it highlights how some of these hidden features work. So in my version of it, in the kind of admin version of it, you can see all of these different buttons. But when you go into the publicly viewable version, a bunch of them are missing. It doesn't even show you that there should be options there. That's because these buttons are linking to pages that are hidden. So all of these name pages are hidden, and half of the downtime stuff is hidden. That's because it's from an older version of my DM screen, and I kind of copy pasted, but I didn't do the proper job of copying and pasting it. I didn't realize that until I was making this video, but it goes to show as a good example of how the boards feature in Legendkeeper displays different information based on what you can and can't see when you're publicly viewing something that is hidden. So it's not like there is a button there that's like, oh, there is a hidden thing here. You would never know it was there. And it is the same with pins on maps. You might have a map like this one that has hundreds of pins to the point where it's difficult to see the shape of the land sometimes. But then you go into the public facing version, and the only pins that you can see are the ones that aren't hidden. There's no little markers to say that there is something here, you just can't see it. So it's really good for being able to note locations in the world, but not give a hint to the players that there is something there. Before we dive into the other way to share your world with players in Legendkeeper, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Draconym. Draconym is a dragon bonding TTRPG where your character hatches a dragon from an egg, grows alongside them, and forges a powerful emotional bond with them. It's a D6 dice pool system that works on stacking successes, which is one of my favorite ways to handle resolutions in a TTRPG, because it allows you to bake so much drama into every dice roll, and it lets the dice tell their own story in a much easier way. The game uses an action point system where you get 3 action points per turn, but you can bank unused points that allow you to have huge go turns where you get to do tons of stuff at once. The game also fully supports solo and GM-less play with an entire book dedicated to solo play, which is packed with thousands of prompts and dozens of tables to help resolve the action. There's an entire section devoted to creating your dragon partner and forging the bond between them and your character. And if you were obsessed with dragons as a kid and always wanted to have a dragon friend in your fantasy games, then Draconym is the perfect system for you. You can pick up the core book at the link in the description below, and thanks again to CrossPaths for supporting the channel. But for now, back to the video. So to finish off today, I want to talk about the other main way that you can share your projects with someone more granularly than just sharing the whole thing as one publicly viewable wiki, and that's using proper permissions. To do this more granular sharing option, you need to go up to the Legendkeeper icon, click on settings, and you're going to go to users and roles. Now I have already created 2 dummy accounts and sent links to them, but what you want to do here is you want to click on add member and invite a collaborator via email. put in the email, send it through, they'll get an email that'll ask them to log in. It'll send them a one-time password, and then they'll have the option to either be a member or an admin. I've gone ahead and made a version of both. You can see Anto's admin test and Anto's member test. Now they are going to see different things based on different permissions. So the Anto's member test is going to be in my Microsoft Edge tab, and then the admin test is going to be in this incognito tab. And then just to make things super complicated, I've also got a Chrome tab open which shows the public link view. So this is what someone would see without logging in, just using the shared links, that we can see what the differences are between them. So this is the public link view. You can see there are a small number of pins available to see. If we then go to the member view, we have more pins, but some of them are grayed out. We'll come back to that in a minute. And then if we go to the admin view, we see all of the pins, but a bunch of them are grayed out. Again, we're going to come back to that. So you can see there are different levels of view. So to understand what is going on with the pins here, you've got to understand kind of the different levels of visibility. And this is why I say typically the version of just sharing a publicly viewable link is going to be sufficient for most people, because you won't run into as many of these little small problems. You'll just get a link that you can see, and the people that you share it with, they'll see what they can see. But if we go ahead into our member view here, you can see that there are a bunch of pins that are broken. The reason these pins are broken, if we go into the real view, like the admin original view, and click into a couple of these, the reason that they are broken is because the pins, if we find one that barrel. So we right click on it, the pin is not hidden, but the page is. So if I unhide the page here and then go back into our member view, you can see that it fixes the pin. So anywhere on this map that has those gray unlinked pins, it's because they're trying to link to a page that is hidden. So it's causing issues. We go into the admin view, you can see that we see all of the same pins. If there are any issues in the admin view, it's almost always a loading and sync issue, and just refreshing a couple times usually fixes it. But let's see what we see when we click into a place as a member. So let's choose Mournberg as an example. If we peek into the page and have a look, again, we only see that publicly facing information. We only see the from the setting guide information. We don't see any of the secret information as a member. So if we go back into the kind of master view of Mournberg, there's a whole bunch of secrets here, and we can reveal those secrets if we want to turn them into a standard information box once they have been revealed. But if we don't want to do that, members won't be able to see these. However, if we go into the admin view and click into it, an admin will be able to see them. So if we peek into it and go into the main page, admins can see all the secrets. So what this allows you to do as the GM is have a level of granularity for who can see what, and be able to, if you're running a big group, let's say you're running a West Marches style game where you have multiple DMs, well, you can create a project and invite several people to be admins. Those admins can then make changes. So I'm now on the admin page. I'm logged in with an account that doesn't have an active subscription, but I can go in and write test. And if we go into the main page for this and have a look, you can see that it has updated and changed that text. So you only need one person to have the active subscription, kind of like your master GM, and then all of your admin can go in and make those changes without having to have the active subscription. At least that's how it works right now, which is a great option for larger community world building projects. But then if I go into that page as a member, I can also write in that as a member. And if we go back into my main kind of admin page, the original page, you can see that it's currently telling me that Anto member test 2 is in this page making changes. If I want to change how admins and members can interact with different pages, I go to the permissions overview and there's a whole bunch of options. So you can set this either at the category level or drill down into the individual pages. So let's go into the compendium and into places, the world of Ishtar, into the jewel cities of Talavar, and let's find Mournburg. So there is Mournburg. So we can change this so that the permissions for members can view the page, can edit the page and modify its permissions, can't view the page or subpages, or we can set it so only admins can see it. So if we set this so that it is view only, we can go back onto our tab where our member is logged in, click on to Mournburg, peek into it, and you can see that we can no longer type into that page. If we reset the permissions and go back in, immediately we can start typing again. So using the admin and members permissions within Legendkeeper gives you way more granular control about who can do what. If you are only interested in presenting a wiki that is to be consumed and you have no interest in allowing your players to contribute in any way, by far the easiest way to do that is to go up to the share button, click the copy link and just give them a viewable share. Then you don't have to worry about permissions. You don't have to worry about them seeing pages they shouldn't necessarily see. They'll only see the viewable pages and the non-secret information on those pages. But if you want a lot more control than that, then you can set up admins and members. And for every single page, you can either do it through the permissions page, or you can go and edit permissions on an individual page basis. So if we click through to the Mournburg page here, we can click the three dots, click the edit permissions page, and then manually change permissions, not just for an individual role type, so members, we can go in and change individual users' permissions, which is really useful if you want to give your players like a journal. Let's say you've got a party of 4 people and you want each of them to have their own journal. You can give them each a page where all of the other pages they can only view, and then there is this one page that only they can edit. So for the people that want it, there is an incredible level of granularity for how to handle the permissions within the sharing of Legendkeeper. But if you don't want to deal with all that, just click the share button, share the link. They'll get a consumable wiki page that they don't have to think about in any other way. I really hope that you found that helpful and useful. If you've got any questions about sharing projects with Legendkeeper, throw them down in the comments below. And if you want to keep watching, check out this video where I talk about my Legendkeeper GM Bible, which is packed with templates and tools and resources to help you get up and running with Legendkeeper even quicker. But until next time, happy gaming.